Welcome, guys. Hello. How's everyone? How are you guys? 24 hours. Oh, there we go. Cleaned up my phone. But yeah, welcome, guys. Daily Gojo Satoru. And we have a ghetto profile picture. But yeah, are you guys ready for JJK in 24 hours? Are y'all ready, guys? We finally have a chapter. Welcome. Welcome, Jazz. Hello. We're here, just vibing. I can't wait for JJK chapter in 24 hours. I believe it's going to be Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 263. And then we have Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto, promoting Kagurabachi. Pretty cool. We got Nanami doing Nanami things. Anyways. Welcome. We got Takaba. This is when we got five full chapters. 5 full chapters of Takaba. And nobody cared. Even the narrator. Even in this flashback. They're like, Takaba, nobody cares about your backstory. When he was explaining his career as a comedian. They're like, no one cares. We also got news of this McDonald's ads. Ba da da da. Oh, is it ba da ba ba da? What? Ba da ba. Oh, it's a McDonald's thing. I thought it was something else. Ain't no one buying. I'm pretty sure they are. We don't want this collab? What? Why aren't they buying? Find the source. Hey, welcome. Hello. Find this. Find the source of the energy within. Move your phone around and explore the domain and unveil its secrets. What? What do you mean move the phone around? Like, is it like a QR code? Is it like an optical illusion? Thank you for the likes. The username. Well, thank you. Welcome, guys. I'm sick. I can't believe I ate that. Anyways. But yeah, we got a Gojo plushie. We got Sukuna being a menace. A straight up demon to society. Like, come on. We got the two devils and an angel. We got Yuji, the real MC of JJK. Welcome. Are you guys ready for the chapter in 24 hours? Are you guys hyped? Guys? We're getting JJK in 24 hours. Jujutsu Kaisen. And then we also got Kagurabachi. It's pretty epic. Are any of you Chainsaw Man fans here? Is anyone here a Chainsaw Man Chainsaw Man fan. Thank you for the likes. Guys, if you're new, definitely follow. Welcome, Sonic. Welcome, welcome. How are you? Guys, if you're new, follow. You're not... You guys aren't JJK fans? Ooh, thank you for the lightning. Bzz, bzz. Thank you, thank you. Alright, we got... Feel the source of energy within. Move your phone around and explore the domain and unveil its secrets. Something special. Specials coming July 9th. July 9th is next week. Exactly 7 days from now. That's the same date that what's his name? The next JJK chapter comes out. That's around the same date. So I wonder what they're gonna do here. I wonder what are they gonna do here? Thoughts on is Takawa still alive? I think Takawa's definitely still alive. I think that's only one of the reasons Gojo might come back. One of the reasons Gojo might come back is if he does his reality bending technique. It's pretty overpowered. He's pretty OP. But the only downside is that he's a goofball. That's the only downsides. Is that Takaba is a goofball. And bro's just napping. What's up? Welcome, welcome, Jujutsu Kaisen Theories. Ooh, we got Jujutsu Kaisen Theories in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Hello, sir. Are you guys excited for JJK in 24 hours? This dude is always trending. Laudi, I don't know who that is. Xbox. We're so ready. Yeah. Have you guys heard that theory of Gojo coming back? We spent an hour. We spent an hour. What is this? Have you guys read this theory by Big Daddy Gojo? So this lady, Bailey, posted a crazy theory about Gojo coming back. How are you feeling? You think we are going to get the same level of artwork from last chapter? Right now, I'm feeling a little sick. I think it's like the cereal that I ate or something. I don't know. But yeah. Since Gege was recording from his illness, I don't think we're gonna get the same level of artwork, unfortunately. I don't think so. But yeah, since Gege was recovering from his illness, I think it's gonna be pretty. It's not gonna be the best. It's not gonna be the best artwork, but it's gonna be a really good chapter, I think. There's a live with 1.7 viewers. I think you mean 179 likes. Oh, one moment. One moment. Wait, so bro, what type of cereal? I think it was Captain Crunch. Captain Crunch was the type of cereal that I was eating. Search official Almani. He has tons. Like right now, who is official Almani? I need to be careful though. Let's no, no music. Crap. All right. All right. Let me. What's his name? Official Almani. Let's see what official Almani is all about. This one? This guy? This guy? He's not live. What is he about? Okay, where were we, guys? All right, we were in this theory. Gojo's body is fully healed. Have you guys read this theory about the soul is the body and the body is the soul? How like Gojo might come back. Double halo representing his double revival. I haven't seen this theory. Let's dive into it. I can read it for you guys. I can read it. I've read it. I read it once. Okay. Let's dive into this fanfic theory. All right. It makes a lot of sense though. It makes a lot of sense. So, let's hope for Gojo's return. The answer is resounding yes. If this is every season why Gojo's return is still possible. This is every reason why Gojo's return is still possible. And may have been foreshadowed to play out this way from the beginning. Context. Prior to 261, the main reason for doubting Gojo's return was he was cut in half and he couldn't survive an injury. But now, Gojo's body is fully healed. Mei said it's likely Yuta will either die or live inside Gojo forever. But Gojo is coming back. This will explain every point to why Gojo can still and will return. And it'll also delve into the potential rescue plan for Yuta as well. Along with my own idea of how this return will play out. The dichotomy of the two strongest, Sukuna and Gojo, were two characters crafted with much in mind, including the concept of them eventually diverging. Let's see. We'll search it after. Even now, we see further similarities established in 261, not caring what happens to their corpses because they couldn't imagine losing. Yes, Gojo didn't care. He told Yuta, he's like, I don't care what you do with my corpse. Sukuna told Yorozu, I don't care what you do with my corpse if I lose. He's like, if I lose to you, then this is what I deserve to... This is all I was meant to go for. But if there's two strongest in JJK, I don't think Gege would make two of the special classes with with such similar characteristics, he'd create two strongest and end up with significant dichotomies between them. That makes sense. Gojo and Sukuna are the strongest. One is good, one is evil. That makes a lot of sense. Then that's why we'll see Gojo evolve to enlightenment. If we consider the similarities, we must also consider the differences in the way they chose to live their lives as well. In the narrator Sukuna, throughout heaven and earth, he alone is the honored one. Only his pleasure and displeasure exist. But Sukuna and Gojo being described as the honored one, Sukuna not being as nearly as honorable as Gojo, is representative of a conflict. There can only be one true honored one. This is intended to be symbolic, and the conflict between Buddha and Mara, who many believe Sukuna is based on. Mara is depicted as a being with four arms and a mouth on its stomach, but the connection isn't solely based on appearance. Mara fought against Buddha with the goal of discrediting him, being the honored one, even challenging him to defend his claim of enlightenment. Mara desired the honored one position for himself. Recall Sukuna with specific Buddhist phrases for an unenlightened one to Gojo, right when he was intending to unalive him in the original Japanese text. All of this, especially Sukuna's taunting of Gojo, calling him unenlightened, is an evidence of the connection. But I guess who ends up winning? Buddha, of course. So this is saying that Gojo might win. I've explained this, but I think Kashimo's interaction with Sukuna also hinted Gojo's enlightenment. Were you born the strongest, or did you earn the title? Are you the strongest because you're Gojo Satoru? Or are you Gojo Satoru because you're the strongest? Can you connect with how can you connect with others when you how can you love those beneath you while knowing nothing of weakness? I'm no stranger to feeling isolated. There was always a gulf between me and and other people, even if they adored me. So enlighten me. Is strength solitude, or is endless search for power simply a cross the strong must bear alone? Sukuna says Kashimo was greedy because he lamented his solitude, just like Gojo. Gojo was enlightened against Toji, but that was just a feeling of satisfaction. Gojo wasn't mad for Riko. He said he didn't care and only thought of how good he felt in the fight. Self-satisfaction. Gojo's true enlightenment will teach him to fight for the sake of others. We see the one who's satisfying him now is reference to Sukuna. But we see the one who will teach you about love is right after Gojo says his students are watching, because the reality is we saw two variations of the loneliness that comes with strength, lined during their fight three times. Y dijo, no vinieron porque la semana pasada se fueron a pasear en alta mar. Okay. And I believe they are significant. Gojo, my students are watching, you know. I'm gonna go ahead and keep showing off the loneliness that comes with unrivaled strength. The one who will teach you about love is. Listo, güey. Listo, ¿de qué, güey? Te mandé textos de la una, güey. Dice Mark que si te ayudamos. Oh, Simón, güey. Y fuimos. Por eso. Because he really is two variations of the loneliness that comes with strength, like during this fight, three times. And I believe they are significant. My students, Gojo, my students are watching. Wait, what? It's a Yetis. Because the reality is, We saw two variations of the loneliness that comes with strength line during their fight. Gojo. So the first one is in chapter 230. Gojo, my students are watching, you know. I'm gonna go ahead and keep showing off. The loneliness that comes with unrivaled strength. The one who will teach you about love is. Gojo thinks of when he last felt the exhilaration he did against Toji, and yet, just as signs of defeat show, so too rushes forth a feeling much more intense, satisfaction, the loneliness that comes with unrivaled strength, the one satisfying him now is, and it showed him Maharaga, not Sukuna in this panel. I remember that people were memeing on Sukuna. They were clowning on Sukuna. They were calling him a fraud. That was pretty funny. Gojo reflects on the battle. As Sukuna appears, I put everything into trying to reach him. I gave it my all, but it wasn't enough. The loneliness that comes with unrivaled strength, the one who will teach you about love is. 2 chapters later, Sukuna says love is worthless. Clearly, he's not to teach Gojo love. He thinks nothing of it. So his appearance with those words doesn't make sense. And how we know that Gege plans foreshadowing, so there's no way this is a coincidence, especially since we saw the words about love with his students in chapter 230, and the words about satisfaction brought up with Sukuna in 233. Plus, right after, the one who will teach you about love is appears in 236. Satisfaction is emphasized yet again. Geto, well, consider me jealous. You at least had the satisfaction of going out with a bang. Gojo's satisfaction, huh? Maybe if you had pat me in the back, I would have been satisfied. And while Sukuna was the one who satisfied Gojo, the ones who will teach Gojo about love are his students. Gojo will return and fight for the others, love, rather than himself, satisfaction. So does this make sense so far? Is everything making sense, guys? Pretty crazy theory, right? Gojo will return and fight for love, rather than himself, satisfaction. He will fight for others, for his students. Sukuna represents Mara, existing to hinder Buddha from enlightenment. Gojo lost himself in battle, the satisfaction. Gojo lost himself in the battle, the satisfaction. The cast even said he forgot Megumi. He did forget about Megumi. Gojo was like just fighting Sukuna over and over, and he didn't care about Megumi at all. They were like, damn, does he not care about Megumi? The cast even said he forgot Megumi. Yeah, this showed Gojo losing himself in the satisfaction of the battle with Sukuna, not thinking of what he was truly fighting for. Fighting for himself rather than others, Megumi, is reflective of Gojo being unenlightened. What? Wait, fighting for himself rather than others, like Megumi. Gojo wasn't fighting for Megumi, he was fighting for himself. Is a reflection of Gojo being unenlightened. He says it was fun, and I do think he meant it. But North and South was introduced for Gojo to change his mind. Because then, Gojo says he wouldn't want to die from disease or old age. This is the very first noble truth. The truth of suffering. Yeah, you guys liked the theory? Oh, thank you for the hearts. Thank you. For this, what is that? GG? Thank you.
Es que anda vendiendo pan. Lo que tiene que chingar por su cuenta, ¿no? It's a Yeti.
This is the very first noble truth. The truth of suffering. Buddha encounters as he leaves home to begin his journey to enlightenment at old age, sickness, and death. The same journey Buddha left for at 29 years old. Gojo is just about to turn 29 when you account for the time he spent in and out of the prison realm. Haibara then says, after all, you never cared about keeping sorcery going or protesting people. You were just in it for self-satisfaction. So he was just fighting curses for the fun of it. This isn't entirely true, but there is a bad side to Gojo. Gojo in chapter 11 has a lousy personality, but I have a dream. Then Nanami says, curses can bring people back to life. Gojo, love is the strongest curse of them all. The first time we see teaching about love during the fight after the students were acknowledged by Gojo can choose to live as one who fought for himself or choose to return and fight for others. That's not to say Gojo never fought for or cared for anyone, but in an enlightened context, Haibara suggests Gojo fought for himself. When he goes north, he'll reflect Riko's thoughts when she was given the chance to live. True. It also may reflect Toji's thoughts during his death. He just wanted to prove himself, to discredit who was in front of him. He thought he abandoned his petty pride. That is why a return doesn't ruin Gojo. Chapter 236 helped us understand and his future decision. If anything, the choice provides character development, showing he was the true honored one, as Buddha did when challenged by Mara. Sukuna vs. Gojo was presented as a battle. Sukuna vs. Gojo was presented as a battle for the title of the strongest. Sukuna mocked Gojo, calling him unenlightened and a nobody. Upon return, he'll defend this title. Kusakabe's Honored One panel hinted this. No, now let's talk souls. Alright, so this is the souls part. The soul. The body is the soul, and the soul is the body. Consider the significance of Kenjaku and Gojo's interaction. In Shibuya, in this context, Geto responded to Gojo's words. This is the only time we saw a soul response from Geto's body. Gojo sealing itself was a major event in JJK that lasted for half of the story. A significant event with strong foreshadowing elements wouldn't end in nothing, especially since Kenjaku is now dead. I think he'll return, but not with his curse technique. This is the very last opportunity to make Geto and Shibuya mean something. People often cite the Dragonfly answer, but way before 236, I never believed it. Either way, this doesn't erase the story having directly told us the body is the soul, but not only is the body the soul is also the body. Kenjaku says he acted like Geto soon after the incident with Gojo. But after this, he never says it again. It could have been Geto's recent awakening influencing him. What do you guys think of this theory, guys? Can you put music? It's called Gangster Rap by... We'll put it after. When we finish the theory, we will put the music, guys. We will put the... okay. Alright, well... Alright, some are skeptic. Let's see. Some are skeptic, so I won't delve too much. But I think during Kenjaku versus Takaba, Geto resurfaced... resurfaced as well. When Kenjaku says Takaba's bow is impressive, and it took him till his late 20s to get to this fight. This is because if Geto's age, he is past late 20s. Mimiko and Nanako bowed down. Ooh. Some are skeptics, so I won't delve too much, but I think during Kenjaku versus Takaba, Geto resurfaced as well. When Kenjaku says Takaba's bow is impressive, and it took him in his late 20s to get in his right. True. This is because Geto's age as he passed late 20s. Mimiko and Nanako bowed down to Sukuna like this, and Geto raised them, so he taught them. They then. Then they asked Sukuna to free Master Geto. They can just mean freeing his body, but it was underlying implications. We mainly see Kenjaku's experience, forced thought during Takaba's sentence, but in those moments, there was no scenario being brought into reality. Kenjaku says himself, the body being the soul is the only explanation for having memories of the body he possessed, and why Geto responded in Shibuya when Gojo speaks to him. And this means Gojo's own soul is inside Yuta. Many thought Geto would awaken before Kenjaku was killed, but nothing happened. As I said, the last chance for what happened in Shibuya to mean something. Why would Gege write this in for not to foreshadow a future occurrence, especially being a major point? And the character was revealed to be able to swap souls, which brings me to the next point. Who did research on the soul? Yuki in Shibuya. She says, I'm talking to Geto. And what did she say when she faced Kenjaku in her last fight? I'll have to beat you up until you're the same again. I don't think this wording is coincidence, coming from one who researches the soul. As said by Yuki, two souls over never fully become one, no matter how deep they sink, like Yuji and Sukuna. If souls never merge, and the body is equivalent to the soul, and the body is the soul, and the soul the body, then it also means that the other soul will always be there, even if being controlled by Kenjaku. Geto stated Kenjaku didn't want to try to possess Toji, as he knew there was a chance Toji's heavenly restriction may clash with his own curse technique, which is proof there are certain ways to overcome Kenjaku's curse technique. This is crazy, guys, isn't it? Isn't this theory crazy? If Kenjaku knew there was a chance Toji's heavenly restriction would overcome him, I repeat, it means it is very much possible to reclaim one's body from even his curse technique, even after transplanting an entire brain. Like it's been said all along, the body is the soul. Furthermore, it is interesting to have the cursed corpse theory mentioned right before the battle by Gojo. But since by referencing Yaga's secret, we were reminded when the connection between soul and physical information was stated. And if you can replicate soul information from physical information, that means physical information itself contains pieces of the soul. Which is even more proof that Gojo's soul is inside of his body, even with Yuta controlling him, because his body is entirely his physical information, which we can know contains soul information. The other times soul and physical information were referenced in JJK, Sensi Granny about Toji. I only summon body information, I never summon soul information for this very reason. My rule is to never summon the soul's information to avoid this exact worst case scenario. It's implied that Serene Granny also was able to separate the the soul them due to her curse technique, but Kenjaku's functions differently, unable to separate soul information from body information. This is why Geto's reference. This is why Geto resurfaced, and why Gojo can too. Welcome, welcome, guys. Are you guys excited for JJK? Y'all excited, bro? Type it in the chat. This is why, okay, many say Geto's soul was never inside of his body, but the breakdown tells us that this just can't be. But Gojo return won't make Yuta disappear. I've explained connections between the body and the soul. We know they're equivalent, but we know two souls will never mix to become one. As long as Yuta doesn't immediately die after the curse technique is revealed, if Gojo's soul returned, just explain why his soul is undoubtedly inside of his body and can return. Then Yuta and Gojo can birth and inhabit the same body temporarily. And I don't think Yuta is dying. Main reason because we barely saw him do anything yet. His domain was sick, but short-lived. True, mutual love was epic, but he could have used more techniques. I actually think it was a pretty lengthy fight. Yuta had his time, guys. W, right? W. It doesn't make sense for someone second only to Satoru Gojo to go out so quickly, especially if other characters have survived, like Miguel. We know that this is still not the final arc, which I think Yuta will play a huge role in. Next, I'll explain why I think this plan will be able to be commenced. Yuji and Sukuna were two souls coexisting in a body. This is a single instance. But according to the story, Yuji is not Sukuna's twin. He's the descendant of his twin's reincarnation. Meaning, it's not the twin connection that allows their souls to coexist. It's solely the fact that they're related by lineage. And guess who's also related by lineage? Gojo and Yuta. And yes, it's distant, but this doesn't change the fact that they are, and this is randomly brought up in chapter 261. Crazy, right? Crazy theory. Recall the exact panels of Yuji choking himself when Sukuna was in possession in the beginning of JJK, paralleled Geto choking himself in Shibuya when Kenjaku was in possession. Yeah, they were trying to get control back of their bodies. But obviously, in Shibuya, we didn't see Geto and Kenjaku have a two-faced moment like Yuji did. But in Yuji's case, they both manifested at the same time. Why would these parallel each other so closely when they're different scenarios if it wouldn't mean something? I believe it was a hint Gojo would return after being possessed and being able to be conscious while possessed by Yuta, having their own two-faced moment. That would make sense. I think Gojo might take control of his body. Thank you for the share. Kenjaku's curse technique allows him to take over the bodies of others safely, but his hesitance to do so with Toji means there are ways to get around this. If Yuta was to feel Gojo's soul, Yuta would suppress him from coming up to the surface. There's only a few ways I can see this going theoretically, but like I said, Gojo is coming back, and I don't think it's Yuta's time. So I'll be talking about how we can separate the two. Guys, these theories, this is just one theory out of thousands of Gojo coming back. No, not thousands, probably dozens. I wouldn't be surprised if there's hundreds of theories. Okay, Ui and Soul Swap curse technique. As I've went over, Yuta and Gojo's distant relation in chapter 261 may have been a hint planted for the reason why they are able to coexist within the same body, similar to how Yuji and Sukuna are. In order to save Yuta, I believe Ui will try to transfer Yuta's soul back to his own body. That makes sense. I'm pretty sure Yuta's gonna survive. If Yuta and Gojo both possess the same body, this could be a way of separating them without unaliving them. Ui said himself, I can swipe the contents, the soul, of the body, which allows him to swap soul. Yeah, I don't know why he made that complicated. The characters soul swap for training purposes, but I don't think it's impossible for Ui to simply put a soul into another container instead of being required to swap. I don't think Yuta. Wait, what? I don't think it's impossible for Ui to simply put a soul into another body instead of being required to swap. Hmm. Oh, so they're saying that like he might put Gojo's soul into into like I don't know if that's possible. Maybe. I don't know if that's possible. I don't think Yuta would want to stay inside of Gojo forever. He'd want to return to his body somehow. And like I said, I don't believe he's dying. So of course this would be a success. Considering Yuta's emotions about the whole situation, I don't think he would want to live inside of Gojo forever. And I do not think he's dying. Gojo always respected his students' wishes, so even though he'd be scared of Yuta, he wouldn't fight against him, wanting to try and return to his body. If you are able to create cursed corpses by putting compatible souls information into the doll, effectively creating life, I don't see why Ui can't at least attempt to put Yuta back into his original body. It would just be a bit of a gamble because I'm sure it hasn't been done before. If you can only swap twice a month, they likely did immediately so they can find their skills. Oh yeah, this is just saying they trained for 1 month. Okay, I know. This is just saying that they trained for a month. Let's move on to Amai. Let's move on to Amai. His curse technique explained in 261. As Shoko recruits him for the medical team, he has the ability to create transfer glucose. I think it's important to consider Amai says himself he doesn't truly understand his curse technique, which means he also may have some other application he's unaware of. The brain's main source of energy is in glucose, and we also know. Yo, lobotomy Kai. Have you guys seen the lobotomy Kaisen memes about the mitochondria? Uh, uh, you know those memes about the mitochondria. That was pretty funny. If Nita can prevent injuries from getting worse and can continuously give brain fuel to function even after being removed from the body, there may be able to help preserve a brain to transfer the brain back into Yuta's body and place his soul back inside. If the brain runs on glucose, then transfer to his brain. Shoko emphasizes this a bit. It is impossible to keep the brain alive even after not inside of the body. Also, studies have shown that the brain can be alive for a period after death. Knowing Gege, who literally hinted a scientist or some shit at some point to help him with the manga, this could also be true for Gojo's brain. Nita's curse technique can keep the brain just alive, while Amai supplements as well. Also, need to point out that we see Yuji eating a product of Amai's curse technique, saying it's sweet. While they talk about feeding the brain, the whole curse technique being based on creating and transferring sugar. And Gojo is one of the characters in JJK that's been overly stated how much he loves sweets. Yeah, when he saved Megumi from Sukuna in like episode 2, he's like, I got these sweets. So this theory allows Yuta to live hinges on the ability to preserve the brain. But with Amai's and Nita's curse technique combined, being able to transfer glucose to the brain, allowing it to continue functioning by being fueled, even when connected to the body, seems like it can truly be a possibility. That is why it doesn't matter if they technically switch brains. We know memories aren't solely linked to the brain because of Kenjaku, and even without the original brain, which is theorized to contain curse techniques, he can still use the techniques of the original owner, which tells us that it seems both memories and curse techniques are linked to the body. So what would make Yuta or Gojo not like themselves? As long as they both have a healthy brain, their souls would go back to their original bodies. They are them. True. That would actually make a lot of sense. If they healed Gojo's brain, that actually makes sense. If Kenjaku's stitches are being related to his curse technique, the stitches would likely disappear once his curse technique is lifted. So by switching brains, it is not as significant as it seems. I mean, this is a shonen at the end of the day, and it's already been explained that Kenjaku is able to access memories, curse techniques, powers of the body, even with a completely different brain. What makes sense? Foreshadowing. So JJK cover, Gojo's possessed by Kenjaku with a halo. JJK cover, Gojo with a double halo. In chapter 261, Yuta told Gojo that Udo told him he was a Fujiwara. I think it was more significant than we thought. That's why Gege referenced it once more. I don't know what my ancestors may have done to you, but if you only live for yourself, there will always come a day where you can't go on. Shut up, live for your others. You don't have to stick out. The only ones who say such things are the people who already made a name for themselves. And who was already made a name for himself? Gojo. There's also a possibility of Geto experiencing soul resonance from the airport, feeling his body is being used, which means his students are in grave danger. Gojo said, no one can take the youth away from the young people. If Gojo is the only one who coined this phrase, and Gojo can feel his body being used on Earth, meaning he knows things are not going well, will he not choose to return for his students? Gojo will literally be good luck. Hmm? Yes. Oh. Thank you. Gojo will literally be like good luck. Instead of coming back to ensure his students' safety gets seen through, if he can, he knew they might be in grave danger. But why would the conflict of fighting for self and others was introduced? But this is why the conflict of fighting for self versus others was introduced in chapter 236. If he could return, would he just let them die? If he considered that they might not survive against the strongest sorcerer in history? Are you the strongest because your Gojo Satoru was not answered yet? Kenjaku said back in Shibuya, Yuta Okkotsu cannot become the next Gojo Satoru. Yuta's fighting in Gojo's body is going to reveal if Gojo was the strongest because he was Satoru Gojo, or if he was Satoru Gojo because he was the strongest. But we see that even in his own body, Yuta can't be the next Gojo, because Gojo was the strongest because he was Satoru Gojo. This will answer Geto's question. He'll return to fight solely for protecting others, other than self-satisfaction. Preservation of the brain allows for Yuta to continue living as well. We get them both back in one piece prior to the merger. So I think at the end of the 5 minutes, Gojo's soul will resurface. If you're a fan of the circle theory, you'll that's been going around for a while. The theory states that even every JJK, that in JJK often repeat or that events in JJK often repeat or parallel others, and the story will eventually return to the way it was, with the beginning mirroring the end. Hidden inventory events. Gojo dies against Toji. Gojo gives a choice to continue living or continues to the merging. Gojo comes back to life enlightened. In Shinjuku, Gojo dies against Sukuna. What? Oh yeah, Gojo dies against Sukuna. Gojo gives a choice to continue living or dies who he was. Gojo comes back to life, but this time truly enlightened. That's maybe why why he has the double halo. That would actually make sense. Shibuya events. Gojo fought for 299 seconds against transfigured humans. Gojo resurfaced. Gojo sealed. Death is a mirror for humans. Death is one's final and greatest transformation. Shinjuku. Gojo fights for 300 seconds against Sukuna. Gojo surfaces and returns. My vision for what might happen. The airport. Southbound plane begins to board. Gojo is there when all suddenly he feels an odd, strong sensation. Maybe in the matter of soul resonance. flickering of visions and thoughts start to surface due to Yuta using his body, senses everyone struggling, sees how injured everyone is and seems lost. Gojo is asking himself, what could be happening? And then he starts thinking of his students, how he said no one could take the youth away from the young people. But he sees his students getting torn apart by Sukuna, which with his very eyes. He starts to question if it's really right to leave things the way they are. If he has a chance to go north, he doesn't have doubt in his students' capabilities. But knowing that Yuta has had to use his body means that things aren't going well. Haibara said that he fought for the sake of self-satisfaction, and he thinks about that, how he lost himself in the rush of the battle, but how he was meant to save Megumi, to tell him about his dad, how this whole time, even though he cared for others, much of the time he was fighting for himself. But if he has the chance to go north, he can change who he is. He can return and fight on the behalf of others, to save his students' lives, to spend more time with them. Geto feels the hesitation in Gojo's spirit. And the same way he represents a choice to Riko when she thought she was meant to die, asking if she wanted to go forth with the merger or if she wanted to continue living with her friends. He presented a choice to Gojo. He can choose to head south or remain who he was, or he can choose to go north and redefine who he was, to no longer fight for his own self-satisfaction, but for the sake of others, to no longer be the strongest, but to just be Satoru Gojo. And just like Rika, she thinks, and his words are a reflection of hers. He thinks about how he was always special since he was born, how he thought he didn't feel lonely anymore, how he thought he would be okay with leaving everyone, but ultimately he wants to stay with everyone a bit longer and do more. Geto pats him on the back so Gojo can finally feel satisfied. We finally get revealed that Gojo said we finally get the reveal of what Gojo said to Geto before his death, and he goes to choose to head north, returning to his body on Earth. It's happening. Gojo is coming back. Wow. Crazy theory, guys. Alright. That will be all on TikTok. I'm gonna end it and eat. I was yapping. Okay.